Is it sexy?
Very sexy.
Hi people, my name is Nordin.
Hey, my name is Jamisha.
Hi, my name is Tara.
And I'm Adrian.
Hey, I'm Grace.
Hi, I'm Laura Gaynor.
Hi guys, my name's Martin.
Hi guys, I'm Miss Dems.
Hi, I'm a queer Jamphy.
Hello, I'm Nana Evans. Let's get into it.
What is the fear here in the UK in terms of like the government?
I think it's similar stuff. I think a lot of people kind of like, when you go through decades and decades and decades, and in some cases centuries and centuries of oppressions at the hands of certain people, you develop a real resistance to the idea that, oh, I'm gonna give you my blood, the thing that literally powers my life, and you're gonna treat me right. You can't put society in a way that lets me live peacefully. So you now want my blood as well. But at the same time,
why do you think that ethnic minorities tend to be more reluctant to join donor registers?
I think there's a lack of knowledge in general. So I think that also extends to ethnic minority backgrounds. But I also think sometimes there's a little distrust in these things, especially when you don't know. When there's like distrust in the unknown. And also, I think if you look at like the last couple of years when it came to like the discrepancy of treatment in medicine, I think that sometimes can extend to even when you're like donating, especially something like stem cells.
You know, with Africans, it's given ritual. It's given,
it's given juju, it's given,
you understand?
I mean, I think we're a suspicious folk, and I do have reservations sometimes about where our stuff is going and how it's being used, especially black folk. I think our history forces us to.
Yeah.
Don't you feel suspicious?
I don't know if I feel suspicious. I'm thinking about like when you're pregnant, you know, they're constantly taking blood from you. And I didn't really think about it.
at the same time, I think that type of stuff in the modern day is kind of nullified when you have groups like, I think they're called the Anthony Nolan charity. And I think they're based around blood donation and things like that as well. And I think...
Have you ever heard of stem cell donation?
I remember it coming up when I was doing science GCSE. As far as I know, there's cells that are underdeveloped and you can use them to help treat blood diseases and sicknesses by taking them from one person and giving them to another.
Whenever I hear about it, like on like an advert or something, it's just like, I don't know, it just seems like another like topic of things that go on in the world. And I'm just like, maybe, do you know what it is, to be honest, if we're going to keep it a stack, I'm terrified of injections.
I recently actually joined the Anti-Nolan Register.
Oh, wow.
And I never considered it until I had people around me who did have things like sickle cell, and it actively made me want to help.
Yeah.
So I completely get what he's saying about the whole thing of people don't really want to act unless it directly affects them.
It's hard, but I think it's very, very important because you know how much lives you're saving. Just
Do you know
imagine.
what? Now that you say it like that, I feel like you might potentially change or maybe sway my... I see it from the Nigerian standpoint.
Yeah.
My mom would say, you want to go and give your blood? Hey guys, I'm Miss Dems.
I'm Martin.
And make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe to Word on the Curves channel if you're liking this episode of
Got a Problem.
Period.
we need to really start talking to the actual people in like the system, in the NHS and things like that.
And actually seeing the faces of people who have sickle cell, because I think there's such a disconnect. You hear about it, but like I don't have anybody in my family who suffers from the disease, and I don't donate blood, and I think that's a big reason why I don't donate, because I don't know anybody who has it.
Do you know anyone that's got sickle cell?
Like I have 3 nieces, 2 nephews who suffer varying degrees, but one is really, really bad. And I know I've read up about there's like some new research where there may be some type of curable science now for sickle cell.
I know of 2 people that's got sickle cell, and I know quite a few people who've got the trait. One of the people with sickle cell, I know he suffered with, I think they're called episodes, where like a nerve in his tooth, he had to get a tooth removed. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I really know.
Recently, someone who I'm around quite a lot, literally just the other day was like, oh yeah, I have sickle cell. And this whole time we didn't know.
Wow.
And it was like, but it only came up because they heard me talking about like this shoot and stuff. And then they were like, oh, you guys do know have sickle cell? And it was like, oh, wow, like we didn't know that.
My sister passed from sickle cell related complications. So I'm very much more attuned to the needs there.
And I feel like there's a certain psychology which we don't look on, which is the impact of, well, you can say capitalism, which leads to individualism. So as I say, you don't give blood because you don't know nobody will need blood. You know what I mean? And if it's not convenient to us, we don't do it. That psychology impacts us beyond blood, is everything. But obviously it comes down to blood as well. You know, most times you only see people say, like as I said, when you see blood drive, it's normally when you know somebody who in it. You know what I mean? Whereas prior we had a more community-based mindset. So I would assume that if this was happening in like the 50s, more black people would give blood than no. Because no, we're kind of just in our own mind, like, you know, everyone just doing their own thing kind of.
Just quickly, we also need to remove that. Everybody, humans react to what's immediately in their face and what affects them directly. It's not just a black thing.
I know.
We always say the black community doesn't do this, but no, humans don't give a about anything. Are we allowed to swear? Excuse me, sorry. Okay, humans don't really give a damn about anything that doesn't affect them directly in general.
Most humans are reactive.
Exactly.
And not proactive.
And it's not just a black thing.
I don't think giving blood's a norm yet. You know, like going to your GP is the norm if you're sick. I don't think giving blood, especially in the black community, is like something that is spoken about enough. It's something I don't think it's encouraged growing up. I've never heard my parents tell me you should give blood. It was never a conversation like Christmas, birthday. Like it's not the norm.
In one community, blood giving could be completely normalized, and in the other one, it's like very much not. And do you think that's dependent on kind of what he was saying, like whether there's people in the communities affected?
Yeah, definitely. But it's strange because there's black people affected, and in that community, still people don't want to give blood. But as we said, there's other factors, just not trusting the government, not trusting the system, that prevent people from doing it, even though there is a need. Because I think sickle cell affects a lot of black people.
We can say, oh, well, the government going to steal my blood. Oh, it ain't even going to get there. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, do you actually know how blood is stored? Do you know where your blood is going to be? Do you actually know the process? No. Like.
Oh my God, wait, do you know about any of that process?
No, I just see the people on the motorbikes driving around transporting blood, but other than
I've never seen that.
No, because I live near a hospital, so I always see them transporting blood, but I don't actually know how it's stored at all.
It's so weird. I've never questioned any of this stuff, even though I've gotten blood drawn.
I find sometimes there's like a lack of knowledge and information about what happens to us or what happens to certain processes when it comes to our bodies. Like, I don't know what happens to the blood, how it is stored.
Honestly, unless you're my sister or a friend and I really, really like you, nobody's getting this blood, this good blood.
So you mentioned before that you are on the Anthony Nolan donor register. What is that?
So the Anthony Nolan Register is an organisation that links donors with patients that need stem cell transplants.
And have you donated any stem cells yet?
No, not as of yet. But the reason why I joined the register is because I was just thinking about the fact, because I come from a Moroccan background, and because it works based off of like the likeliness that you might match with someone else who needs a donation, I just thought that if there is a large amount of patients who are from Moroccan background who do need donations, and there isn't a lot of Moroccans who can donate who are joining the register, me joining the register means that I will have more of a chance to match with somebody. So I just thought,
we know that our genetics are different.
No, definitely.
Should there not just be that inherent thing that we want to genetically survive, so we help each other?
Yeah, you're saying it like that. We have those type of conversations. How many people have that type of conversation about survival of the fittest and actually keeping the community strong and healthy in that way?
I can count on two hands people that I know that give blood from the black community. And I don't know if that's because there's more of a push behind it nowadays. But I definitely know that people are doing it more.
Because black people, we live in a world where we're I don't say victim, we're at a disservice in most situations. These things can seem like an extra burden, extra pressure. Yeah. So it is individualism, but sometimes like to go and give blood, well, can I leave my job? My kids? And there's so much extra pressures if you're not, if you're the average working class black person.
Is it like the financial thing?
There's so much stuff.
We say that stuff like, we're at a disadvantage, and there's a lot of victimism within the black community. So I don't know if we really are at a deficit or if it's the story that we're all feeding into that we are. But really, you know, there are a lot of affluent black people.
There are.
And you could take time off work and you could do it.
Not even to sound like racist or like, you know, stereotypical, but why is it so that I'm learning about issues that affect black people from somebody that's not even black? So it's like, another thing as well is that he can only tell me basically the reports and the basically the kind of like science behind it from his point of view. Whereas if we had someone that basically it represents us and then actually can, you know, go and do that adequate amount of research and say, these are the problems affecting us. And basically these are the issues that we need to basically solve as well. And I feel that in terms of like, let's say you look at the black community, majority of us are of a faith-based community. So majority of us either belong to like churches, mosques, whatever. It should start from there as well, because if that's the community that we're directly part of and we hear it more, then basically we'll have the initiative to do something more.
I think that's a strong point. Exactly what he said. We shouldn't just be educated over the radio station on an advert. It should be things that are in our community. So, for instance, we go to church. I don't think it's something that we've heard often in our church. I know those conversations do happen, but having those conversations in places where you are is very important.
Religion and science, it's a problem, isn't it?
I was thinking that. I was thinking, isn't that like the dogma that you shouldn't be? I know that's like Jehovah's, isn't it?
And then there's people that have like, you know, I'm ill, went to my pastor said, pray it away.
Yeah.
There's that. I mean, I know that's quite extreme, but that's a reality.
Oh, it's not even. I have a couple of cousins who are infertile and they literally will not go and get any type of help.
But I do agree that our cultural community leaders should align with more organisations to speak the truth onto us.
Yes, we need to hear about the word of God. Yes, that's very important. It's the most important. But also we need to understand how to educate our communities on how to stem cells, blood donation, these things for people that are like us,
It's got to be relative.
Yeah.
So like down to community centres, youth centres, places of leisure, like adventure playgrounds. They've got all manner of things that you want to sign up to. Paintballing, this, that, right there. We need to start doing health.
Now that I think about it, I don't think we ever spoke about sickle cell in school once, or even necessarily what we can do to help people who are suffering with the diseases. So I think they could do more in school to actually not only tell us about these diseases, but also tell us what we can do.
Yeah. I was at a Nigerian Christian conference just a few weekends ago, and they had like a staffing rota for if anyone had a medical emergency. It was better staffed than the hospital that I work at. Like there was so many like doctors, consultants, there were people around. So I think that there are people there. It's more just kind of getting the ball rolling a bit faster in terms of educating ourselves. I think that there is something to be said for the cultural and social impact that it has when you have someone who has a similar background to you telling you what to do with your own body or advising you on things like that. I would agree that that does impact it.
I think that's very important because, let me say this in a politically correct way. If someone looks like me and they're explaining something that's very important like this to me, I'm more likely to trust it because of the issues that I've had.
I think it makes a difference speaking to people who know you, know what it is and understand where you're coming from. I think that's fine. The only thing as she was saying that, I was thinking about our conversation on our podcast about COVID, when they did the COVID ads and they'd had the ethnics do a COVID ad. I hated that. So on that respect, it's like, don't patronise us. And I suppose it's who's in control of the conversation.
Yes.
Did for example, I'm using ACLT as an example. Did ACLT organise an advert that speaks to us? Or is it the government, freaking Boris Johnson and his cronies saying, hey, let's get some ethnics and talk to them. And, you know, that's patronising.
Yeah.
And no one wants to know that someone's been paid.
It's the authenticity of it, isn't it? You need to know where it's coming from.
My mum, she used to work for charity that used to deal with blood donors and things like that. And when she went out and she was, you know, on the streets like, come and get tested to see whatever, give blood, whatever, there was a lot more people that looked like her that would come and speak to her, you know? So I think that's important.
If it affects black people, would you expect to hear it from a black person?
From a black person. You'd expect to hear it from a black person that's gone through it or that's going through it.
Or, do you know what I mean? Maybe have family members or something.
Yeah. It needs to be from us, but it needs to be wider than that. Like, I mean, I don't know, I have a story of a friend who told me like when she had gone into hospital, she was in like sickle cell crisis and they wouldn't give her any painkillers.
Wow.
And they wouldn't give her like anything that she needed. She was just waiting there, wailing in pain. And then when she was pressing the button, they were just like, you know, if you keep doing that, we're going to throw you out. And she ended up having to call the ambulance to pick her up to take her to another hospital so that she could actually get a treatment. And it's like, it does need to come from us as well, but it also needs to come from like a wider level, because ultimately we still have to enter institutions in which our lives are in their hands.
So like after watching the video and having a conversation, do you think that your opinions have been shifted in any sort of way to sign up for a register or look into stem cell donations more?
Before today, honestly, I was not looking at donating, no stem cells, no blood, no nothing. But now I'm recognizing you're doing the Christian thing, if you are a Christian or a Muslim or other, you're doing the nice thing of helping and saving someone's life.
I've definitely opened my mind about it because it's clearly a problem and it's about life or death, basically. So if I could help to save someone's life, then
It's a pretty big incentive, isn't it?
I think our generation is better at being like, we will at least like join registers where we're going to give blood. Like we would be a part of a solution. Whereas I think my mum's generation is absolutely like, no.
That generation was immersed in religion.
Yes.
Like
heavily.
Going to heaven unwhole, incomplete.
Yeah, it's like that heaven thing. Yeah. But I think it's changing.
I'm not even sure how you would donate your stem cells.
All you need is to just swab the inside of your mouth like this. Yeah, and then you get to join the register, and then they would shout you and then be like, oh, you're actually a match for someone.
The way that it's done is similar to like when you donate bloods.
It's like a 4 to 5 hour process.
Wait, 4 to 5 hours?
Yeah, 4 to 5 hours.
4 to 5 hours. Is there Netflix? Are there snacks?
Maybe. You'll have to find out. I'm pretty sure they treat you pretty well.
They take the blood from your arm.
But they extract your stem cells from your blood without actually taking your blood.
You get to take it back. So if your mom is spiritual like mine, they're not robbing your blood. You get it back. All they take is your stem cells, and in 72 hours you can save someone's life. It's giving superhero.
It's giving superhero. It's giving. Sorry, I'm not just trying to like aspire to him, but it's giving like Jesus.
Do you know what I mean?
Like the Halo. Like it's giving
Angel.
Oh my god.
Angel Gabriel.
And is it painful?
Well, because when I joined the register, I was like, oh, like, am I signing up to put myself through like hours of agony? But from what I've seen online, it's not really that deep. Like most people say it's pretty much painless.
Samaya, what are you saying? Do you just this up?
Come on, let's take Gil.
Is it sexy?
So the intro. Who do I give this chemical to?
What do we do now?
I think there's also an online form, but it seems pretty straightforward. It should only take you a couple of minutes and then you're good to go.
What do you think could be like the possible solution so that this conversation carries on and more people sign up, get on registers?
I believe they can just amalgamate it into stuff that we do. So fun fairs, festivals, like summertime, like you're gonna see a lot of people.
And it would be charities going to schools or maybe pushing to getting it more into the curriculum, more education about it into the curriculum. That might help too.
That'd be cool.
You know, like Facebook marketing, Instagram, YouTube adverts that you can't skip. If we had like stem cell stuff, it would be sick, because then you're like, "Raw, okay, something I didn't know."
I think having conversations on platforms and with people who have an audience that are directly in those communities is the most effective way for sure. And I think it also helps to normalize things to the point that people are more comfortable to talk about it.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think also sometimes when the information is coming from people that might look like you as well,
100%.
I think that makes the difference too.